Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet, and we have a DC Multiverse review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Batman Earth -1 and Superman. So this is a common mistake to start off with. A lot of people think this is just Batman Earth-1 or Earth 1, but this is actually a -1. So there's a lot of history and a lot of mythology going into that realm. Into the DC Metalverse, if you will. I'm not going to waste a lot of time talking about it in this review. We're just going to take a look at these figures. But let's go ahead, as we always do, and take a look at that packaging. And right off the bat, this is going to be a little bit of a hint. I do want to point this out. So this was purchased at a local GameStop in North America. And right here, this gives you a little bit of a hint about what's going on here, because this is very commonly mistaken for Doomsday. But this is not Doomsday. This is actually Batman after he took a Doomsday virus and became the Devastator. So it's kind of a cool story, cool background. It's worth looking into if you have the time. So not a lot to see there on the front, except for that DC Multiverse down there. And then over here on the side, you have DC Multiverse, Batman, Earth -1, and Superman, McFarlane Toys down there at the bottom. And over here on the back, you have the Batman, Earth -1, and Superman. Each figure comes with a collectible trading card. And down here you have Collect Them All, and you have Batman, Superman, Batman, Earth -11, Robin, and Batman. Down here you have all the McFarlane contact information, the collector card in English only, but they let you know in multiple languages that it's in English only, which is nice. And then over here you have the Dark Knight Metal Batman, Earth -1, and Superman. Up top, Dark Knight Metal. Down low, manufacturing information, if any of that interests you. Alright, so that is it for the outside of the packaging. Let's go ahead and take a look at what came inside that box. Alright guys, so here is everything that came in that box, and you know, if I'm being frank, it's not a lot, but that's okay. It's not like these guys are going to come with any types of weapons or accessories. I mean, they are the weapons, right? So really, there's not a whole lot you're going to get as far as accessories when it comes to two powerful beings like this. So let's go ahead and get into it. The only two things that you got were the trading cards, or the cards for the characters. So let's go ahead and bring that first one in and we'll take a look at that. So this is the Batman Earth 1 Dark Knight's Metal, the Devastator, or Batman with the Doomsday virus, however you want to call him. I know, or I think of him as the Devastator. So there's the front, and the back does have a little bit of a bio, so I will hold that still so you guys can pause and read that if you want. All right, and you do get a little bit up there. And then, of course, you get the card for Superman. And one of the things I do like about these cards is these are the actual products. They're photos of the actual figures, not necessarily any type of artwork or CGI, computer-generated artwork. It's the actual figures. So I think that's kind of cool. It's a little bit unique. And so Superman Action Comics number 1000, and there is his bio. All right. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll get on into the figures, and what we will do is we will start with Batman Earth -1, or the Devastator. So we'll move Superman on out of the way and we'll bring this guy in for his close-up. So here we have the Devastator, Batman Earth -1, Bruce Wayne himself in his Doomsday virus version. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at that handsome face. Oh, that is lovely. And credit where credit is due here. I mean, the amount of molded in detail and paint applications that were done on these figures are astounding. They look so good. This looks so good. I'm a little blown away by the amount of detail that has gone into this figure. So great sculpt work, great paint apps all the way around. So yeah, I mean, you can see those red eyes and you get those yellow teeth. Obviously, they don't have toothbrushes on Earth -1, which is a shame. And then you have the Batman symbol down here, or the Batman the Devastator symbol. And great detail down here in the abs. And then he's got the bad case of the Hulk ripped pants syndrome. I know I'm mixing universes there, but it is what it is. And then you come down here, he's got those big old bony feet. Looks like he needs to clip his toenails as well. This guy's just apparently not really up on hygiene. And then looking over here at the left arm, we'll take a look at those arms individually because the right hand is different. But he's got his big old angry fist right there ready to do some damage. Nice spiky armor everywhere. And this guy, some of the stuff is actually genuinely sharp, so be careful when you handle him. And then up there on the shoulders, big old spikes. And coming over here to the right hand, now he's got his big old open grippy hand, which, you know, much like his toenails, looks like this guy needs to get a manicure. For shame. And then he, you know, he does have a little bit of a ripped shirt symptom going on there, or a syndrome going on there. A little bit of tatters right there as well. All right, take a look at him from the back, and the back is no less impressive than the front. I mean, again, the amount of detail that they put into this. I mean, look at all this in here. This is so cool. And like I said, this guy's sharp. So be careful when you handle him. And got good detail on the backs of the legs there. Good to see that he didn't skip leg day. Got little spikes on the back of his feet right there too. I guess call those heel spurs. And on the bottoms of the feet, they do have the little ports, so you can peg them if you want to put them in some poses that he can't normally pull off under his own power. So yeah, I mean, detail on this guy is outstanding. So let's go ahead and get into the articulation. And, you know, much like the detail, he is, for a big guy, he's pretty articulated. So let's go ahead and we'll start up here with that noggin. So because of the positioning here, so he's on this ball joint that's up under there, you know, you get a little bit of this kind of side to side, and you can get some, oops, not ready for that yet. You can get some down, you can get some up, and then you can turn his head that way if you want to do so. So you've got a decent range of motion, but you know, as you can see with your head, when your head is mounted forward facing like that, there's just not as much you can do as when you have a normal human neck. But for what he has, I think it's a pretty good amount of articulation. And then he can open that big old ugly jaw. Let's open that up and get the details in there. So you can open it up about that wide. And then close it back up. And then here at the shoulders, he has a little bit of a butterfly, and I think it's easier to show here in the back. So you do have this ability to bring that forward and back, or up and down a little bit, and have that motion just in this crescent area right there. So it gives you just that few extra degrees that you might need for a nice dynamic pose. As for the regular shoulder portion, you can get his arm up that far and down in that far, and you can go all the way around with that shoulder if you choose to do so. You do get bicep rotation, so you can take that all the way around, and you do get right at 90 as far as that bicep or that elbow bend goes. All right, and then down here at the hand, you have a joint right here that allows you to bring that hand up a little bit, down a little bit, and then a separate ball joint for rotation. So you can take that hand all the way around. This hand is the same way, it just happens to be open. So same articulation on both sides. Now coming here to the midsection, this is where I think they maybe are a little bit ahead of some other figure lines, because you have 2 points of the waist rotation. So you have this upper area, and then you also have the lower area. And then combining these two together, it allows you to do an ab crunch. So you do have an ab crunch and 2-point waist rotation in these figures, which is nice. Now down here at the legs, you can spread them about that. Oop, come on, big guy. Spread them about that much. So it's not a tremendous amount, but for a big dude like this, he's probably not going to be a gymnast. And you can kick forward that far. You can kick backward that far. So it really just looks like he's taking big lumbering running steps. Not that he's going to do the splits. And you do have a little bit of thigh rotation here, so you can go outward that far, inward that far. All right. Now at the knee, you get just under 90 on the knee. And you do have a separate rotation joint just below the kneecap. So you can rotate him right there as well. So you get this thigh rotation and the lower leg below the knee rotation. For the feet can go down that far, and they can go up that far. And as you saw, you do have your ability to turn those toes 90 degrees. And then at the ankle, you don't get an ankle tilt, but you do get a separate ankle rotation. So this does act as a tilt. So it's just a matter of how you have those feet positioned. So yeah, you can get this guy into some pretty incredible and dynamic positions. That's it for details and articulation on the Devastator. So let's go ahead and bring in Superman and take a look at the details and articulation on him. All right, so here we have Kal-El, the son of Krypton, Superman himself, and we will bring him in for his close-up and look at those details. And right off the bat, I can tell you he's having a bad day. Now, I don't know if this is because he's getting ready to fight the Devastator or because he maybe ate too many burritos at lunch and he's desperately looking for a bathroom. I'm not sure which one it is, but that's a very serious face. And it is well sculpted, so at least you have that. But yeah, sculptor work, just like with the Devastator, I think the sculptor work here on Superman is very well done. Now, there's not as deep of a level of detail here, but just simply because there's not going to be. You know, he's not a big, spiky, 9-foot tall, you know, destructive force of nature like the Devastator is. He's just a man, just like the song says. So there he has the big S on his chest. No big surprise there. And coming down, he does have his belt, and he has his little red underoos. And coming down here, got his legs. Looks like he maybe should go to a few more leg days. I mean, look at that upper body. Look at those legs. Upper body, legs. Don't skip leg day, Superman. Even if you are indestructible. And coming down here, you got those nice red boots. And just like the Devastator, you do have your little holes on the bottom, so you could stick him on some stands to give him some of those nice dynamic poses. And looking at those arms, again, just like the Devastator, you've got a punchy hand and a grabby hand. And good detail here. And then, of course, you have that cape. Now, this cape is like a PVC or a vinyl, kind of a plastic. So it's not cloth, you know, it just does its own thing. And underneath, you've got basic Superman attire back there. Nothing really crazy going on. So yeah, those are the details. Now, as far as the articulation goes, articulation is going to be real similar to what we saw with the Devastator, except he has more of a human head now. So you can have more of those human poses going on. So you do get a little bit of side to side. So if he's like angrily quizzical, you could do that. And he can look down and be angry. He can look up and be angry, and look right and be angry, and look left and be angry, and look behind him and be angry. Whoa, hey, I think that's what the Devastator is going to do to him. All right. Now, at the shoulder, same thing. You do have, it's a little bit harder to see, but if you see it right here, you do have that extra butterfly joint right there. So you can get that extra movement forward, back, and up and down. And at the regular shoulder joint, you're going to go up that high, and you can go all the way around. You do have the bicep rotation, and at the elbow, you get right at 90. And just like the Devastator, you have, now he doesn't have the two, well, he does have the 2 points. They're just in different spots. So let me back up what I was saying there. So you do have the upper rotation, and then you have the lower rotation. It's kind of difficult. It's nice and tight. Ooh, easy with your elbow there, buddy. It doesn't look right. And then you do have that ab crunch, and you can back it up a little bit right there as well. So yeah, good range of motion there in the abdomen. Down here at the thighs or at the hips, you're going to get about that far. So a little bit more than the Devastator, but still not a lot. He's not going full Van Damme, and he can kick forward that far. He can kick backward that far. So same thing, not a lot of range of motion forward and back on those legs. And as far as thigh rotation, you can go out that far, in that far. So thigh rotation on Superman is much more limited than what you have on the Devastator. He does, however, have double jointed knees, so you can get one darn nice knee bend there. And then down here at those feet, he can bring those feet all the way down, so actually it looks really cool. You do that, and he is flying. And then you can bring those feet up that far. You do have that 90-degree toe bend, and then you have your foot on its own ball joint. So yeah, actually you have a ball joint up here, and you have the ball down here. So it's kind of a 2-point. You can rotate it there, or you can rotate it there. So good range of motion, good articulation in both of these figures. Would have been nice to have a little bit more in the hips, but still nothing that's going to hinder you from having some really nice dynamic poses. And I would recommend a stand for these guys, particularly with Superman, because his feet are a little bit smaller, and if you have a little bit of patience, you can pose him. But it's a lot easier when you've got a peg. You can just stick a peg in the bottom of his foot and go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll bring the Devastator back in. We'll actually see these two side by side so you can get a scale comparison there, and then I'll bring in some other comparisons so you can get a sense of where these guys fit within different universes. All right, so here we see the two figures together, and yeah, I mean, assuming this is to scale for both of them, this is about right to the comics. I mean, this guy is, you know, absolutely huge. He's close to 9 feet tall, 800 or 900 pounds, whatever he is. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very large and intimidating figure for even the Son of Krypton to take on. So yeah, you can see just with them side by side, you know, that's one heck of an ugly family picture. But yeah, that is a significant size difference. And you know, Superman's what, 6'4", something like that. You know what? It just occurred to me it might actually show on the cards. So Superman's 6'3", 235 pounds, and the Devastator is 8 foot 10 inches. I was close. I said 9 feet, 8 foot 10 inches, and 915 pounds. So yeah, there you go. That's big and intimidating. So let's go ahead and we'll bring a few other figures in from some different universes and just you know, compare them and see how they scale up to give you guys a sense of size. All right, so for our first comparison, I figured what I would do is you know, maybe have a little bit of nostalgia in this review. So our first comparison, this little guy, is my original Jawa that I had when I was, I don't know, 4 years old, something like that. I mean, we're talking 1980, give or take. And yeah, so there you go. There's the Devastator and Superman compared next to a 41-year-old Star Wars Jawa. Next up, we have my Batman figure that I've had since 1984. So yeah, I mean, there you go. The new guys with an antique. I guess he would be an antique, but yeah. And our next comparison is the Devastator and Superman next to my Sergeant Slaughter, one of my original G.I. Joe figures that I've had since I was 9 or 10 years old, something like that. So, and yeah, Sergeant Slaughter is holding a phone. Don't ask, don't tell, I guess. But yeah, he has the swivel arm battle grip and everything. So there you go. All right, now we're getting into some of the newer stuff. So this is one of the Batman figures that Sid has had since, I want to say, you know, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there, give or take. So this was when we were really starting to see the ultra posable collectible figures come out. So this was one of the first Batman posable characters that he ever had, and yeah, I mean, he took this guy everywhere. He loved this character. So yeah, I think almost kind of scales up pretty well with those guys. So there you go. Next up is a more contemporary comparison from a different universe, and much like Sid says, since I am the Transformers guy, I had to sneak in Optimus Prime. So this is the Optimus Prime as we've seen him from the War for Cybertron, Earthrise, and or Kingdom. It's the same mold for both of those parts of the trilogy. So there you go. That's how he scales up compared to the Optimus Prime, or that's how they scale up compared to the War for Cybertron Optimus Prime. And our last two comparisons that we have are a couple of the DC Build-A-Figures. So this first one here is none other than Nanaue himself, King Shark from the Suicide Squad movie. And yeah, he's a big boy, and I think he probably does not scale right to Superman and the Devastator. I think the Devastator would still be bigger than Nanaue. But there you go. And our last comparison is the big Build-A-Figure Steppenwolf from the Justice League set that came out a few years back. Actually, Sid did a review on that. That was one of the first reviews that he ever did. So I'll put a link in the description for this review here if you want to go back and take a look at that. But yeah, this is the Build-A-Figure from that original Justice League set that came out a few years back. So yeah, good size Steppenwolf, and this may be to scale actually, because I know Steppenwolf's a pretty big dude. So, but if this guy is 8 foot 10 inches, I don't think Steppenwolf is what 12 feet tall. I don't think he's quite that tall. So that scale might be off a little bit there, but it's almost in the realm of believability. Well, believability if you're talking about a alien from another planet, being from another dimension, and a Batman from another Earth. Yeah, so I guess scale doesn't really matter, does it? I've just out-geeked myself. So yeah, anyway, that'll do it for the for the comparisons. Let's go ahead and get into final thoughts for this Devastator Superman 2-pack. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about those final thoughts for the DC Multiverse Batman, Negative Earth 1, and Superman 2-pack. If you're a fan of DC, if you're a fan of the what I call the Metalverse, the Dark Metal series, I think you're really going to like these figures. I mean, they add a lot to the mythology, and I think they look good. The articulation is great. I absolutely love the Devastator. I love any and all things Doomsday anyway. So, you know, to see something with the might of Doomsday and the intelligence of Bruce Wayne is an absolutely frightening thought, especially if you're Superman and he's coming for you. So that figure alone almost makes it worth it for me. What an incredible figure. And the Superman figure himself, I think, is very well done. I think, you know, the sculpt work and the coloration of everything looks great. It's such a bright, vibrant blue for that suit. It would have been nice if you could have maybe had some interchangeable heads, because that Superman doesn't always need to look that angry, I think. And with the Devastator, he's just a mean, nasty Superman hunting machine. So I think he fits just right. But yeah, I have very little to complain about with this pack. The quality control is good. All the joints are nice and tight. You know, there is a little bit of difficulty when it comes to posing and standing, particularly the Superman, because of the size of the feet. But that kind of comes with the territory with these figures. So, you know, a stand is definitely recommended for these figures, and even with Superman, particularly a flight stand, right? That would be even better. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as anybody who collects figures from the DC Multiverse, I think this would be an easy recommendation. If you find it, pick it up. You're going to enjoy it. I mean, gosh, that Devastator is just an incredibly intimidating figure to have on your shelf. It's got such a great shelf presence. So yeah, that is, like I say, almost enough by itself for me to recommend this figure. So with that, guys, yeah, I'm going to wrap up the review. As I always say, you know, first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all the feedback that we've been getting for the channel. And, you know, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as we're going to keep bringing more content out to you, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to see. Give me some opinions on these figures, what you think of the DC multiverse, and particularly the mythology for the dark metal multiverse here for DC. So I'd love to hear back from you guys about that. So with that, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and until we see you in the next one, take care.